Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which is set to release onto the Nintendo Switch and on PC in just a few more days. And if you have been watching the Nintendo Direct, you now know that we got the final and official launch trailer for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which of course went ahead and showcased. If you have been watching my videos and like the quote-unquote suggestions, you already know that some of the reveals in that specific trailer were something that we had already been expecting. The first and foremost, we got to see Shagaru Magala in all his glory, of course kind of taking down a couple of the monsters as you would have expected. You also got to see Furious Rajang in that trailer as well. And of course the last one that you got to see was of course Scorn Magnamalo. That would be the Magnamalo with the missing eye. That would be the new pirate version of Magnamalo and a brand new such species as well. Now in the little bit of a teaser, and they showed it for just a mere second, they just kind of showed his paw, but we got a first look at Geist Magorm. This would be essentially the Crystal Boy, the final boss of the game. Now of course this was just a tease right there in the trailer, but we do get to see the flying Giggies essentially making their way to him down to the pits, into the crevice, as he's basically making his way out from the underground into the upper areas. This is specifically something we are going to be able to see in his final stage as you are ready to fight it. So all of the stuff that we basically have been quote-unquote predicting is already been revealed officially by Capcom, which is basically what we had been waiting for, so we can actually begin to discuss these things a little bit more openly. At the same time, we did also see that the afflicted monsters were teased a little bit. You did get to see, I believe it was a Tetranodon or something like that, completely glowing red, kind of like going a little bit berserk. You would be able to see that all over his body he has a red spot kind of glowing, the same thing that Malzeno has, basically the flying Giggies or Queenos, I believe is what they're called now. Officially, I guess we can say the name now. They are kind of like floating around his body, basically just kind of doing the same thing that they do with Magnamalo. This is something that we've spoken to in multiple occasions, where essentially Magnamalo's flying Giggies or Queenos are now post-launch going to be doing the same thing that they were doing with Malzeno. They're going to be doing it with other monsters. So you get to see this Tetranodon kind of glowing, has the little Queenos flying Giggies kind of around it, and he's completely enraged. So they are just no different than Apexes or frenzied monsters or variants or anything along those lines that you want to call them, and they're just constantly kind of upset. They're called afflicted monsters, and this is going to be the end game. I've spoken about this a few times already. I do want to have another chat about this because there's plenty of details to go over specifically about these type of monsters, but that is something that is teased right there specifically in the trailer. Now they do have a couple of scenes, of course, where they discuss some story elements, a lot of just voiceover kind of meaningless stuff, kind of like trying to hype up Geist Magorm, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. Geist Magorm will be what it will be. We're going to probably discuss that post-launch, since there's plenty of details to go over regarding that monster. That is supposed to be the final monster of the game, and of course now they teased it and we finally get to speak about it a little bit better. Other than that, I did find it a little bit humorous that they just kind of just showed off the monsters, showed the final boss, and then they just started showing like a bunch of clips of like just weapon skills and stuff like that. They really had nothing else to showcase any further because they've kind of showed off everything already. This is something that I discussed yesterday when we were talking about a potential presentation from Capcom and the Japanese audience the day before the game is actually set to drop, and they just basically just showed off a bunch of cutscenes from the game, which out of context they don't really make a whole heck of a lot of sense, but they did have that one final cutscene where there's a Luna Garin fighting a Garen Golem, I want to say, and then they quickly transition over to the Malzeno fighting in the castle. That was pretty funny. But other than that, they showcased the free title update, and of course Seething Bazelgeuse is now going to be making his way alongside Lucent Nargacuga. These are now the two first title update monsters that we are going to see, and now we are transitioning over to post-launch information. Now one of the things that I've been refraining to talk about was the post-launch updates, because the information on day one is so much more important. That is what's going to affect us the day we begin to play. free title updates and what monsters are going to be part of that is something that I'm going to begin to cover in a little bit going forward. Not in this video, of course, but like going forward into the future. I mean, once we actually have more details regarding the full experience of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. But of course, I think the launch day trailer was exactly what I spoke about, what it would have been. A lot of just story teasers, not necessarily a lot of big surprises if you have been watching my continued coverage, but other people have also begun to speak about this a little bit as well. And we now have the full showcase of the 3 remaining monsters that we could have really just expected to see: Shagaru Magala, Furious Rajang, and of course Scorned Magnamalo. Now, Scorned Magnamalo and Furious Rajang are expected to be post Guismogorm monster fights, essentially something that you're going to be fighting once you take down the final boss. As you're progressing through the game, these are monsters you're going to be seeing after you take down that crystal boy. But other than that, again, the trailer was pretty much exactly what we would have been expecting. Nothing necessarily surprising. I think at the end of the day, Capcom did do something smart, and that was the fact that they posted the 3rd trailer when we got to see, or maybe it was the 4th trailer, when we got to see the reveal of Gore Magala. That was like a really big trailer for them. I think that one is kind of like what turned around the Sunbreak haters, I guess, or like the downers, the people who keep saying that World is a better game or whatever it is. I think when we got to see Espinas and we got to see Gore, a lot of people kind of twist and like change their opinions. I don't know if this trailer is really going to make all that difference. I would love to see the feedback. Obviously, I'm just doing this instantly after a quick reaction post the reveal, but I would love to see the feedback. And now that we know that there's just going to be 17 monsters officially as a day 1 experience, and of course free title updates are going to round out the roster, I'm not necessarily sure how people are going to take it once they have that information confirmed. But going forward, it would be interesting to see just how much feedback works regarding this specific trailer, since Shagaru Magala is a fan favorite. I mean, the thumbnails for some of my videos where people have been really upset that I put Shagaru in the thumbnail, it's like, well, it's already expected. I mean, Gore Magala was already confirmed in the game. You're not going to have Gore without Shagaru, and you're not going to have Shagaru without Chaotic. So those are like givens. Chaotic has not been confirmed as of yet. That is a monster that we are expecting, and we most likely expect it to be a free title update. So going forward, we should be expecting to see nothing but reveals when it comes to post-launch monsters. We have 2 of them already, Losing Nargacuga and Seething Basil Geese, and of course plenty of others are going to be announced as well. So we're just going to have to wait and see and stay tuned for that. Now, as to what is going to happen with the Japanese presentation on the 29th, I expect them to showcase this trailer once again. And when Ryoso Sugimoto and director Suzuki take the stage, they're probably just going to end up talking about a couple of other things. I would like it for them to reveal something more, maybe tease something else, maybe again post-launch monsters, but we're just going to have to wait and see. I think that's a day away, so it's not that far off. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!